Coming up on First at 4, Hurricane Idalia makes landfall in Florida's Big Bend region as a Category 3 storm. And some Eastern Kentuckians are working to give students in the mountains more access to space research.
Plus, temperatures are below average for the middle of this week, but more heat is on the way. Those details coming up as Mountain News First at 4 starts now.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News First at 4.
Good afternoon, I'm Steve Hensley. First at 4, Hurricane Idalia crashed ashore this morning in a sparsely populated area along Florida's Big Bend region as a dangerous Category 3 hurricane. The eye of the storm has already left Florida as it takes aim at Georgia and the Carolinas next. CBS's Christian Benavidez has the latest from Crystal River, Florida.
So far it's holding, but the water just keeps coming.
Idalia's powerful and in some places record-breaking storm surge is submerging parts of Florida's Gulf Coast.
The whole front building of the faraway end where the swings were just came apart.
Homes and streets in Cedar Key are now underwater from a surge forecasters say could hit 16 feet high.
We're still assessing what is all going on the ground in the places that had the initial impact.
Tampa was spared a direct hit, but is feeling the impact. Water is spilling over the city's causeway, and there's also significant flooding on the streets of St. Petersburg.
Here in Crystal River, we've been experiencing bands of rain and fierce wind as the storm moves through. Now everyone is watching the water and how high it will go.
Unfortunately, we've not seen the worst of what the storm's impacts are going to be.
Even though Idalia is now moving over land, forecasters warn the storm is still a major threat.
We're going to see, not just the storm surge, but potential for, damaging winds extending well inland all the way across portions of North Florida into southern Georgia.
In Key West, cleanup has already begun. John Napolitano is trying to get his business open again.
We're going for the drains to get some of this water out of here. The city can deal with the seaweed.
Officials say more than 250,000 people in Florida are still without power, but crews are working to get the lights back on as soon as possible. Christian Benavidez, CBS News, Crystal River, Florida.
Many people along Florida's Gulf Coast are still dealing with lingering damage from Hurricane Ian less than a year ago. We'll take a look at some video of Steinhatchee Marina this morning where the hurricane made landfall in Florida's Big Bend region. Video appears to show an extensive amount of storm surge here. Some video now from ex-user Casey DeSantis appearing to show a tree which fell near the governor's mansion in Florida. That tree is reportedly 100 years old. Crews from Kentucky Power are heading to Florida to help. The company says its crews will support power companies there. They are taking trucks, supplies, equipment, brakes, fuel, and manpower.
Well, Idalia is still a hurricane at this hour, but it is weakening as it continues pushing into southern Georgia, also the Carolinas. But earlier this morning, around 7:45, Idalia made landfall near Keaton Beach, Florida, as a Category 3 storm, winds of 125 miles per hour. But notice this, it was kind of under a weakening stage because we had the initial eye wall right here, but a second eye wall right here. This is called an eye wall replacement cycle, so that can sometimes weaken the storm just a little bit. It was expected to strengthen into a Category 4 hurricane. That did not happen, thankfully, because of that eye wall replacement cycle. So a little bit weaker, but still a strong storm with very heavy rain, gusty winds, also some storm surge as well. But right now, Hurricane Idalia is still a hurricane, Category 175 miles per hour in portions of southeastern Georgia. It will continue pushing off to the east, northeast around 15 to 20 miles per hour, bringing some more rain, also gusty winds to the Carolinas before it continues pushing off to the Atlantic Ocean. Now, think back to Monday and Tuesday. We had soggy and gloomy weather here in the mountains. That's all thanks to that front that is now steering Idalia out to sea over portions of Alabama, Georgia, the Carolinas. That front is actually blocking Idalia from coming north into our region. So yes, it caused rain earlier this week, but thankfully that front is also steering this system out to sea, so it will not affect us. As we look back to the west, though, We have high pressure for the central parts of the country, and that will be our big weather system for Wednesday, also into Thursday. We are dry today under some cloudy skies over at Buffalo Mountain. That current temperature at 75 degrees, and most of us are well below average. We should be near 83, and we are in the middle to upper 70s at this hour. 74 in Jackson, 77 in London, and 74 also in Pikeville. But more warm weather is on the way. All those details coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
All right, Cameron, thank you. Some Eastern Kentuckians in the region and beyond are working to give students more access to scientific research outside of this world. The Challenger Learning Center in Hazard is full of exhibits introducing kids to space science. As an example, programming director Joseph Collins says students before have only gotten to scratch the surface of exploration, and they are working to increase knowledge across the region.
And we see all these role models and examples. We see the action heroes in the movies. We see the famous scientists like Neil deGrasse Tyson, but kids don't get to see that that's something that they can access. They only kind of see the end result.
The Challenger Center in Hazard includes many educational activities for students like mission control and launch simulations. We will have more on that at 6, as well as a look at a new educational series. 2023 is a year to celebrate at Alice Lloyd College in Knott County. College staff, administrators, and students are celebrating the school's 100th year. Alice Lloyd President Jim Stepp says they are marking the occasion and celebrating the school's rich history by bringing something new to the campus starting next semester.
What are some things that we can do to show appreciation to students as well as this region? And I did have a convocation yesterday in which I spoke to students, and I announced that beginning with next semester, we will be furnishing all returning full-time students with an iPad.
Stepp says the school is also working to get free textbooks for students by the beginning of the 2024 fall semester. Coming up on First at 4, scientists are becoming concerned about the disappearance of one insect, which is a staple of summer here in the mountains.
And after soggy weather on Monday and Tuesday, we are tracking a stretch of drier weather for the rest of this week. Your full forecast coming up.